Good day, class. I'm Mark.
I'm Gonzo.
And we're Dungeon Class. Today we're talking about Tomb of Horrors.
Tomb of Horrors.
So this video is about Tomb of Horrors.
The infamous and landmark advanced Dungeons & Dragons adventure module, The Tomb of Horrors.
Today we'll be taking a look at the legendary, the infamous AD&D adventure, The Tomb of Horrors.
So, Gonzo, people may have heard of this Tomb of Horrors thing. People were talking about it at the gaming store. What the heck is Tomb of Horrors?
Tomb of Horrors. It brings shivers down players and Dungeon Master spines alike. It's one of those classic modules that everyone has heard of at some point. And if you're new to the game, you will hear about it. And if you're very unlucky, you may go through it. So,
Absolutely.
Yeah, as far as the history, in fact, we studied a little bit up on it, but it was created in 1975. Gary Gygax, one of the creators of Dungeons & Dragons, created this adventure to, actually a dungeon, for players to be at the Origins 1 convention. And he was kind of tired of hearing, he wanted to challenge his own gaming group, and he was tired of hearing about all these other people who were bringing these great, mighty characters and saying how they just couldn't be bested and nothing was challenging enough. So he went out of his way to create the most challenging, tough module, adventure, dungeon he could create. And that's what led to this Tomb of Horrors.
All right, so that was 1975.
It was, and
All
it's
right.
been used in almost every edition of Dungeons & Dragons in some way or form. And we actually got an opportunity to go through the 5th edition version, which is found in the Tales from the Yawning Portal. We'll have a link in the description if you'd like to get it. This book actually has very different modules in it, starting from 1st level all the way to high level, 20th level if you want. And this is the last module in there for the highest level characters to go through.
So our experience is kind of a cautionary tale.
It is, yeah.
There was the best of times and the worst of times. And so I thought we would talk about some of the good things that happened and some of the bad things. I think there was a little bit of both. So let's start with how we did it. I guess we start there. So we thought we would do it as a one-shot.
Yep.
Which we have some other ideas toward the end of the video of how we would do it better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing we hope that you'll learn from our experiences, and we pass on our experiences to you. So we decided to do it as a one-shot, and we did it, Memorial Day weekend?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
And well, the thing was, you had said, I'm going to prepare Tomb of Horrors for you guys, and we were actually really excited. Like, we wanted this to happen. So you gave us a few weeks.
That was a problem.
That was a problem. You gave us a few weeks to create characters to go through this, legendary, very difficult dungeon.
And it seemed like a good idea at the time.
Okay, so what went wrong?
So what went wrong with that is that I spent hours preparing this. I had everything all out. So first of all, I will say that before we get into the wrong, one thing I did, because I knew that this game is about surprises, and I will tell you that without giving too much away, it is very trap heavy. It's very puzzle heavy, and really part of the intrigue with this game is the surprise element. And so when you're running a game and you have a map, if you put out a map and they see the map, even if you put out just the size of the map, that can give a lot away. Mm-hmm. So I made the decision to draw everything out on chart paper and cut out each individual room, which is a lot of work, by the way. Yeah. And I put each room in a plastic sleeve, and so I could just pull out a sleeve. I numbered them, so I knew which one was what. And when they went into one room, I could just lay out just the portion that they saw. Yeah. And in my mind, I thought that was going to be the great way, which. That part worked okay.
Yeah, that was great.
And I would really recommend doing that if you're going to do Tomb of Horrors. It is a lot of work.
You're not doing it electronically with fog of war or whatever.
Right. If you're going to use something electronic, that would be different. So that worked out pretty good, and that I will say I recommend that. It is a lot of work, but it did have that surprise element. Now, what went horribly wrong was by giving them a lot of time. They knew this was going to be bad. They knew that it was trap heavy. They knew some things about it, and so they were super cautious and had already kind of min-maxed their characters.
Yep.
And they had strategy upon strategy of how to deal with any kind of scenario. And they talked about it ahead of time.
Yeah, and so our experience, it took us how long to play?
Dude, that was like over 8 hours.
Yeah, we played the whole thing in one day because
Yeah.
we were so excited, at least in the beginning, to do this, and we had a day free, and we thought, let's do this. This will be epic,
Right.
and it was to some extent.
Yeah, we had fun.
But
Some.
yeah, we definitely had fun. Some, but we our experience was because we as players knew that what we were walking into was a big death trap with tons of surprises and things that we wouldn't expect. We were expecting the unexpected, so it broke the game in a way where we min-maxed our players. We made them, you gave us a level to start them at.
Yeah.
We multi-classed certain players.
Right.
We had spells picked out specifically for helping with traps and things like that. And we basically would move an inch and then check for everything around us. Move another inch. It was really slow paced, which is
Painfully
why it
slow.
took all night.
Yeah.
And I think because of that, our experience was it wasn't as fun as it should have been. It was more of just a grueling, like, let's get through this.
Absolutely, and we should preface this with the idea that because of the background that we talked about earlier, Gygax made this original one really, really like risky. Like you're probably gonna die.
Yeah.
It's just the way the original version was designed. You are probably gonna die, and so. This new 5th edition of it is not as meaty, but it's pretty bad. There's some really rough stuff in there. So I'm thinking someone's going to die that night. And somebody did. Somebody did die because they foolishly did something at the very end, which was really a bad idea. In fact, it was the absolute worst thing you could possibly do at the end. And they did die, but some circumstances, they were prepared for that too.
Yeah.
They were prepared for a character dying. So that one was kind of a surprise to me. So... we say all this, and we're going to be honest on this channel. Some things we do, and it's a learning experience. It's a DM. You do something and you think, oh, this is going to be great, and it goes horribly wrong. Now that part about preparing and things going horribly wrong, if you're new to DMing, that's kind of part of the game. You're going to have to think on your feet. This is a constructed deal that was put together and has rooms already set and everything, so it's not as flexible as if you came up with your own.
Right.
So that's kind of a plus in the column of create your own adventure. So that was a thing. Hey, we just want to take a moment and tell you that we love having you on this journey, and that if you like our show, please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. That helps us grow. We're building a community of people who have a interest in Dungeons and Dragons. And I should point out that I had a little help with the Tomb of Horrors. I did have an assistant DM, and that's a big help. There's a lot of complexities to running something like this, and so I had an assistant DM, and you know who you are.
And if in the comments below, let us know your experience with Tomb of Horrors. I'd like to hear it, honestly, because ours was up and down. So I'd like to hear your experience in the comments below. Just let us know what you thought of if you've gone through it, or if you're excited to go through it. So.
Yep. Thanks. But let's talk about Gonzo. How would we recommend making it better for people going forward?
Well, I still think, like with anything, especially with this adventure itself, if you wanted to play this or have your players go through this or a portion of it, I wouldn't. If I'm the dungeon master, I just wouldn't let them know. I would just let rumors be of a Vorpal sword up in the mountains somewhere, and if that doesn't bring your players in, maybe something super tied into their background that is up in this area or somewhere, and then what it will do is the players will go not knowing they're going through this thing.
Right.
They won't be prepared up to the hilt with everything they could possibly have, carry, and all that, and they may see some drastic consequences. Now, having said that, if you play it that way, your characters probably will die.
Yeah.
You
They
could
probably
have,
will. Some will die.
and when one or two die, it ends up generally into what they call TPK. So
Total party kill.
So you could nerf it a little bit if you're playing in a campaign, and these are characters that really mean a lot to the people playing it, and you're just dropping it on the Tomb of Horrors on them. You may want to nerf it where they may not die, but they lose a couple levels, and they get kicked, teleported out of the dungeon with nothing on them, or whatever you come up with that's allowing them to still have fun, feel like they did something or went to something they shouldn't have entered, at least at this point in their career. And they still can say, as a rite of passage, that they've been through a portion, if not all, of the Tomb of Horrors.
Or if they're cocky players that think they can do anything that comes at you,
The ultimate beatdown
then there you
stick.
go.
Yeah.
Then Gygax's original idea that's perfect for this. You drop this on them and let's see how good you are. You think you're
That's
so powerful.
true. That's true. If you've got a group of players that just are
Yeah.
toasting through your games, then just drop this on them. Don't tell them, and we'll let the dice fall where they may. And
Little
see what happens.
little dose of humility doesn't hurt.
So overall, our experience was good. We still had fun. We were
Yeah.
together. We were doing things together, playing
fun.
together, and learning some new things. Figuring out puzzles and stuff like that. But I wish, as a player, that I wasn't prepared to go through it.
Right.
And I don't know how you felt, but it just felt like it was a lot longer because we were tiptoeing through the whole thing.
Oh gosh,
So-
yes, yeah, yeah, and they missed a lot because a lot of it they didn't explore, but they did, they made it work. It was crazy. So yeah, I think that's basically what we wanted to say about Tomb of Horrors.
This book right here, this Art and Arcana, the visual history
Yeah,
of Dungeons
absolutely.
and Dragons. I'll try to hold it up. It's pretty big. This thing has some great art of Tomb of Horrors. It has some of the original drawings. In fact, this book came out of here. But it's got some of Gary Gygax's original script on what he wanted to present and his original drawings of the dungeon
awesome.
itself. It's really cool. And in that book, there's a lot of information on that classic module. So
Excellent.
go
And-
for it. All of you go for it.
All right, and so I think that's all we have time for today. And
Go
with
ahead.
that,
Class dismissed.